About to leave, already packing. Come with me, I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Died with my own doubts. Be free.
Good morning and welcome to today's stream. I hope everyone's enjoying the weather at the moment. We seem to have a break with some sunshine at the moment rather than the cold, wet weather we've had over the last few days. So in today's video, I wanted to go through some WordPress alternatives because WordPress is one of those platforms where everyone's kind of using it at the moment, because it is just so versatile. There's so many features you can add to it, but there are also so many other alternatives that people are now moving to. So I wanted to explore that on today's show. Hi, my name is Jason Kruger, and I help heart-centered businesses build and automate their online marketing systems. Now, as some of you will be aware, my favorite platform to build websites is WordPress. I've been using it since 2009 when I first discovered it, and I've seen it change over the last 10 to 12 years now. And it's become such a powerful platform where you can add more features to it by using different plugins, the different themes that you can use. You can do whatever you like with it, but there are some things that you need to be wary of, because there are just so many different themes out there, so many different ways of building websites now with WordPress, that it can be a little bit confusing for people, especially if they're just starting out. And if you're not tech savvy, trying to install WordPress, especially if you're hosting it yourself, and then finding the right themes and the right plugins, it is quite a steep learning curve if you've never done it before. And that's where these other alternatives might come in, because they do all the hosting for you. They take care of any backups, any updates to the software. That's all taken care of for you. So you don't have to worry about all of that. All you need to worry about is building the website. So I was going to look at some of the different alternatives that there are. And I see I have Xanthi watching me today. Hi, Xanthi. Xanthi is also a WordPress expert. She does her own streams on WordPress. And if you want to learn more about WordPress as well, please go and have a look at Xanthi's streams as well. She goes through a lot of different details there. So, and I'm hoping that I will actually be doing some of these topics with Xanthi in the near future as well. That's something we need to discuss. But yes, there are so many different alternatives out there. So which one should you look at? I'm going to be going through a few of them today. But before you even start looking at the platforms, there are a few questions that you might need to ask yourself, because some of them are going to have different features. A lot of them, you can build very similar websites using any one of them. But it's also going to be the different features that they might have, but also the different pricing points. So what is it? What is the goal of your website? Now, a lot of people are just going to say, I just want a website out there just so that people can find me on the internet. And yes, that's a great goal to have. But when you have this website, for me personally, a website needs to have a specific purpose. Yes, you can have it as a brochure website that people can have a look and see what you're about, but to be honest, those don't really help you that much, because you want to have extra goals on there as well, like lead generation, blog posts, so that people can see updated content that you might be providing. And you need to look at these types of goals when you're creating your website. I do think, before you even start to build your website, you need to have a look and figure out what it is that you actually want to achieve with it. Having a website just on there so that people can find you is a goal, but I wouldn't say it's probably the best goal to have. Xanthi just come in and said that she's not an expert, but always learning. But if they define an expert, if you know that much more than the people that you are teaching. And I've watched a lot of your videos, and you do a great job with that. So kind of going back to the goals of your website. Yes, having a website there to show people that you are online and people can find you, but making sure that you have the right structures in place as well. Homepage, about page, services page, contact us page. The amount of times that I see people forget about the contact page. The contact page is a really important part of the website, because that's where people are going to go to try and get in contact with you if they want to speak to you about maybe some of the products and services that you have. And that is an important part of your website. But it also can be a platform where you teach people about the topic that you are interested in, that you work in, and show those people that you have the expertise that you can help them. And so having a blog post or a blog section on your website is really important. So, it's looking at all these different types of things to see the platforms that you're looking at, can they support those goals? Are you also going to be selling from your website? Do you need to have e-commerce features? Those are all things that you need to kind of think of, because once you choose a platform and then later on you decide that actually you want to sell from the website, but the platform you've chosen doesn't support that, then you're kind of stuck, because you either then have to create a separate website to do that selling, or move your whole website to a different platform, and that causes a lot of headaches as well. So when looking at these different platforms, look at the features that you might want, not just now, but something that you might want in the future, because if you've got those building blocks already, you can then just add them to your site when you are ready. But if that platform doesn't have that feature that you really want, then you're kind of stuck, and you will probably have to move. But all these kind of areas are really important. But the most important thing for me when I'm showing people how to use their websites and making sure that they can update them is the ease of use. Are these platforms going to be easy to learn? Because I can go and build a website on these different platforms for my clients, but at the end of the day, if they can't then update it themselves, then they're not going to use it. They're not going to update the website, and I could build a website now, and 6 months, 8 months down the line, it still hasn't got any new content on it, because the interface was too complicated for them. They didn't want to take the time to learn it, or they just don't have the time, or it is just too complicated for them to update. So those are things that you do need to look at when you're looking at these platforms. So what are these platforms that I'm talking about? Well, there's Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, and another one that I am currently looking at called Webflow. And I'm going to be doing a lot more content on Webflow, because I do find it a very interesting platform, and hopefully Xanthi and myself will be able to do a bit more content together regarding Webflow versus WordPress, etc. So where do we start? Let's look at Squarespace. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're just going to go through the features of some of these different platforms. Now, let me just make sure that I've chosen the right screen, because it's not changing. Oh well, let's do it the manual way. So even when you have tested everything before you go live, it still doesn't always work. There we go. So I'm now just sharing my my screen, and I'm showing you Squarespace. And yeah, Xanthi has said that they're looking to offer updates as a separate service. Yeah, Xanthi, I do exactly the same. I offer hosting for a lot of my clients on my own servers, and as part of that, I have update packages and support packages and that. And I think that is definitely a way to go, especially when the clients don't understand the importance of having regular backups and making sure that all the software is updated, because WordPress and all the plugins do get updated on a regular basis, and it's something that a lot of people do seem to forget. And having those types of services and offering those to clients is a great way to go, to make sure that all the hard work that you've put into these websites is kept up to date, and that nothing happens to it. So let's go into Squarespace and just have a look at the different features that Squarespace offers. So you can see that you can create some really great looking websites using Squarespace. And it does have a lot of different features. Now, when I'm building sites for my clients, the one thing that I always look at having as a goal for their website is lead generation. And you can just have your newsletters on there, but free reports, the PDFs, even a small training series with videos or audio is another way to go. And so when I look at these platforms, I want to see how easy it is to integrate these into those websites as well, because not all of them integrate with external systems. So when I'm building websites, that is a major part, and the platform that I always recommend to my clients for email marketing is ActiveCampaign. I have done for years because of its ease of use and the power that it has. So a lot of clients have that, or they're moving to it anyway. So I look at these platforms to see, can we do something like that on these platforms? And Squarespace is a great platform. You can create some great looking websites. But the one area that I've always found when I've looked at Squarespace is some of the extra features, etc., that they have on here. So if we look at Squarespace, you can look at the cost of Squarespace, and yeah, it's relatively cheap compared to other solutions. And if we change this to the pay monthly, I always look at monthly because hosting and all that we can get on a monthly basis, and it just is a better comparison. So you can get it as cheap as £13 per month, and you get a lot of different features. So you get your security, some other SEO bits and pieces. All websites are mobile optimized. But when it comes to integrating to other services, Squarespace doesn't integrate with services like ActiveCampaign. They actually have their own built-in system, which is great. But when I look at that, it lacks features. So you always then kind of get stuck into that platform. The more you stay with Squarespace and start adding in these extra features, you start getting more locked into Squarespace. And in the future, if you do want to move away, it becomes a little bit harder to do. But as you can see, for £13 per month, you get quite a lot of different features. But if you really want to get more analytics, etc., then you're looking at £21 per month. And that is where you can get email from Google. So everything is then branded with your domain, etc. And you have all the advanced analytics and a lot of more things like e-commerce, etc. So you're now looking at £21 per month. I've seen lots of sites using Squarespace, and they do look really good. And if that's the way you want to go, I'm not going to say that you need to use any of these alternative platforms. I'm not going to recommend any of them, because they all have different feature sets and different pricing points. And at the end of the day, it's going to be whatever you find useful to you and a platform that you're going to use. I could always recommend a platform, but if you don't feel comfortable using it, then it's kind of useless, because if you don't like it, or you don't like the ease of use, for instance, you're never going to use it. So it's going to be a pointless exercise looking at those platforms. If I look at templates, they have a multitude of different templates in here, and you can have a look and choose categories that you want to use. So I'm just looking at some of the comments that Zanti's put through here. So this one here, suppose a platform like Squarespace or Webflow are more pricey, because they do update their platforms as well all the time, but the users don't have to think about it. Yes. So yeah, that's going to be something like, if you're looking at offering other alternatives, yes, these platforms are going to be more expensive, because they do add all of those types of things in. And it's something that us as kind of building websites on WordPress have to kind of think about. But the other thing that you need to look at with WordPress compared to some of these alternatives is the features that you can offer. Yes, so they have a lot of built-in features, but the other thing that you've got to consider is that WordPress is so versatile. You can add other plugins into it and really build a massive site with different features that these platforms will never be able to touch. But when someone is starting out, they might not need all those features, so they will look at these different alternatives. So if I look now at the templates that you can choose with Squarespace, you can see there's a multitude of different templates, and you can use these and then start customizing it to your own brand, etc. So that is Squarespace, and you can have different things with Squarespace. If you wanted to do the email marketing side of it and you're going to use Squarespace, then you can add that. But then again, this adds extra cost to your plan. So they have these different plans for email campaigns starting at £6 per month. And when I look at it, you don't have any email automation. You are looking at £11 to get that. And when I compare that to ActiveCampaign, for instance, ActiveCampaign is $15 per month. So in pounds, it's going to be roughly the same amount, but it's going to be so much better, because even though these systems, these platforms are adding all these extra features like email marketing and that to their platforms, they're never ever going to be as good as the platforms that do this natively, because that's what they're built for. They have all the expertise in email marketing, so they build these platforms for that. These website builders now that are adding into that, they do have now their own software to do it, but are they ever going to be as good? I don't know. I've never used these platforms, but you know, I'd rather use a platform that has got that expertise and has been built for that sole purpose. The other one to look at is Wix. So let's have a look here. So it says Squarespace is good as long as people know the options and limitations or not it's offering. Yes, exactly. And I actually had a client that was on or was looking at Squarespace, and I showed her what the options were with Squarespace and pros and cons of Squarespace, and in the end I think she did sign up for it, and she's doing it all herself now. And that's what happens, you know, people will just want to do it themselves. But, you know, unfortunately, what happens nowadays is that people, because they have all these different options, they go and build their sites themselves, which, you know, they can do. I've got no problem with that. But the issue you have is when we're building websites as our job, and we've been doing this for a number of years, we learn what works and what doesn't. They in that process of learning that all for themselves. And sometimes, you know, we try to tell people what will work and what won't, and they don't listen and go their own way. And then down the line, they come back to you and say, well, yeah, you were right. And that does happen. But, you know, we will, you know, you can only teach people and show them the different things. And yes, Xanthi, Wix is an alternative, and I mean, I'm with you. I don't like Wix at all. It's not my favorite platform for a number of reasons. One of them being I don't like the interface when you go to build your website. But also, if you want to move away from any of these platforms, you can't. Wix, you've got Wix, Squarespace, and a few of the others. If you want to move to a platform like WordPress down the line, there's no way just to export that data and then move it to the site. You've got to build everything completely from scratch. So yes, Wix is an alternative, and I was just looking at all the different options that you have on here. And again, they have drag and drop editors for your website, so you can go and build the website like you want. They have all the different templates here as well, and again, all these different platforms are going to have templates that you can use as a starter guide, and I do mean a starter guide to build your website. I wouldn't just use one of their templates, change a few words, and then put that out as my own. I want to put my own logo on there. I want to put my own branding, my own images, you know, that I have to urge you need to go and do, because otherwise it's just going to look like a templated site. So, like I said, all these editors are going to be very similar. They will have all the different bits and pieces to it. They all add extra features to it. So Wix does have online scheduling software on there as well. They add in a logo maker, and they will have their own SEO tools and etc. on there as well. And with Wix as well, you can also have e-commerce site, and you can do that on Squarespace as well. And what I should mention when you're looking at e-commerce, it depends on how complicated you want your e-commerce to work. Now, I've built relatively big e-commerce sites for clients where they have third parties doing all the drop shipping or the supplying of those products. So having that integrated into their system so that they can fulfill that order for you. Sometimes, you know, these systems, you won't be able to do that because they'll just send you an order email, and a lot of these suppliers need it in a specific format so that they can add it into their software to fulfill that for you. And things like Wix and Squarespace, I don't think will have those capabilities. So it depends on what you want to sell, depending on if these are going to work for you. So Wix, as I said, is another alternative. And the pricing with Wix is they start from £3 a month. And as you can see, it is a very limited. But the one thing, even though you're paying £3 a month, you will have Wix branding on your site. It will have ads, and normally they at the bottom of your website promoting that you are using Wix. So for me, £3 a month is definitely not the way to go. If you're going to go to this platform, you're going to want to at least start on the £6 so you can remove that branding. And these are all those little things that you need to look at when you're looking at these alternative platforms. What else are they going to add in there? Because yes, they do. Some of them do offer free plans, but then they're going to have these ads, etc., appear on your website. And you don't want that if you want to portray a professional look and feel to your website. All of a sudden you're having Wix ads or something like that appear on your website. No thank you, don't want that. So you're going to be looking at least at the £6 to £8.50 mark just for a basic website. And then if you want to have the e-commerce side of things, then you're looking at least £13 per month. Now, I have covered a lot of what all these different platforms do with Squarespace. Wix is very similar in that regard. The next one is Weebly. Weebly is another platform that, again, very similar. Will have the kind of page builders to build your website. I think Weebly is more aimed for the e-commerce side of things, but you can still have your normal website on here. And they also have kind of email marketing, and that is within their platform as well. They've developed their own software for that. And I should have said Wix do exactly the same. They have their own email marketing system. So as I said, Weebly is another alternative. You can see all the different features on here to build your website. And if we look at the pricing for a Weebly website, again, they have a free option, but then you will have Weebly branding on there, not something that you want on your website. So you definitely want to be looking at least at the first paid option, where that will then be removed. Looking at this, actually, it's only removed on the Pro plan. So you're looking at £9 per month, and that's when it's paid annually. So it's going to be more than that if you're looking to pay on a monthly basis. And it doesn't look like they're giving me an option to show you what that monthly option is, but it's going to be at least £4 or so more expensive, looking at how other sites do it. And I could go into all these different features for each of these sites. They're all going to be very similar. if I look at the online stores for Weebly, they have all of the necessary things that you're going to want, especially looking at inventory, shipping, all of that type of thing. Now, if it is a e-commerce store that you are looking to build, and you know that it's going to be an e-commerce store, you're going to be selling different types of products on there, then instead of using these platforms, you would probably want to look at Shopify, because they will have a lot of the different tools that you're going to need to have an e-commerce store. This is what it's built for. So if you are going to have a full e-commerce site and you're not going to use WordPress, then Shopify would probably be the one that I would say to start out with. I've actually just moved a client from Shopify to WordPress with WooCommerce as the e-commerce platform, because Shopify couldn't do some of the things that he now wanted to do with subscriptions, for instance. Now, Shopify do offer subscriptions, but then it's an extra add-on, and all of a sudden his monthly price was doubling, and it still wasn't quite doing what he needed. So we moved the whole thing to WordPress, and we set up all the subscriptions, and that is just taken off now. So if it is something that you look at, then do look at Shopify, and again, look at the features that they offer to see, is this definitely what I'm going to need when I'm building my e-commerce store? If you're not too sure, do some Googling, find out, speak to other people that have e-commerce stores to see what is it that they use on a daily basis for their e-commerce website, so that you can see what features that you might want that you might not have thought about when you started down this journey. So when you look at this, it's starting out at $29 per month. But if you're going to need something bigger, then it's going to be $79 per month. So those are the different kind of platforms for that. So Xanthi has said, I often see bloggers that want to start building a website that ends up with these websites because it's either free or cheap, but after a while all move to WordPress. Yeah, and I found that quite often. I've had people that had a Wix website and we rebuilt the whole thing in WordPress, and you know, Squarespace is another one that I've moved people from. Yes, when people start out, they don't want to spend a lot of money, so they do look at all these different sites, start building it, but then realize a few months on the line that actually it's not that great, and they are going to have to move. And it's just one of those things that when people start out, in my experience, they don't want to spend money, or they just don't have the money for a professional to build the website for them. So they do it themselves, and they do go to these platforms, and they soon realize that they've probably bitten off more than they can chew when it comes to building their website. With a lot of these things, they make it look so easy to build a website, but then when it actually comes to building it, they find out that they need to know a lot more to build their website. I've had someone recently come to me and said, oh, I need SEO done on my website, and I've looked at it and it's a Wix website. But then I look at the structure of the website, and I'm like, actually, before we even look at SEO, your site needs to be completely restructured, because you don't have the pages necessary to do SEO properly. So when you're doing SEO, you want to have different pages on there so you can target the keywords on there, and have it so that it's easy for people to navigate around your site. When I looked at their site, they didn't have any of this, and I found it quite difficult to navigate around it. And so even looking at SEO to start off with is probably not the way to go. They need to restructure their site, and this is just because they've built it themselves, and they didn't want to spend money, and now they're like, actually no, we need all this doing. And then that's when they start realizing that they gonna need more help to actually just restructure their site before they could start doing all these other fancier things that they want to do on their site. So the last alternative that I wanted to go through now was Webflow. Now, I am going to be delving and doing more videos on this, and I'm going to be, setting some things up with Xanthi for us to go and talk about this from different points of view from WordPress as well, and look into Webflow more so that we can tell you guys more about it. I've already started playing around with it a little bit yesterday, and yes, I haven't built anything with it yet. I'm just understanding the platform to see how it works, and I do like it. The interface is what someone described as kind of Photoshop. So when you look around it, yes, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to. And what other people are saying is that Webflow is kind of more for designers so they can build the website. Maybe it is. I will find out in the next few weeks to see how this all fits together. And from what I've seen so far, it is a powerful platform. They have a lot more integrations than any of the other platforms. So, for me, when I'm looking at this for clients and what they might need, this could be a great alternative to WordPress. But again, I'm going to be playing around with this in the next few weeks to find out more about it, see how easy it is to build, and then how easy is it for clients to then go and make changes themselves. What kind of training will they require to actually go in there and understand how it works? And yeah, Xanthi says here that she can compare it with Elementor, and yes, Elementor is a great page builder for WordPress. I've been delving into Elementor a little bit more myself. It's not the page builder that I use for my website. I use one called Beaver Builder, so it'll be great to have that comparison from those different page builders to see how it compares using those two page builders on WordPress, and how Webflow then compares to those as well. I've used Beaver Builder since kind of its inception many years ago, before Elementor became as popular as it is now. So I've always had that. So that's what I use, Beaver Builder. But Elementor is something that I want to go through myself as well, and I'm sure Xanthi will be able to help me through that and teach me a bit more about Elementor. But yeah, as I was saying, with Webflow, they do have more integrations than any of the other platforms. So it will integrate with things like ActiveCampaign, but not just that. For e-commerce and all those types of things, there's so much more under the hood with Webflow. So if you are building websites for clients, this could be a great platform to learn, just as having a different tool in your arsenal to build websites for clients. Now, when you sign up, you can sign up for free. They do give you like kind of a 2-page website that you can play around with. But then when you want that to go live, you then need to get a site plan, from what I understand, looking at all of this. Now, they do have 2 different types of plans. They have site plans and account plans. Now, from what I've looked at so far, especially, for myself, if I'm building client websites on Webflow, Webflow have it set up so that I can build their websites on Webflow, but then I can charge my client through Webflow on a monthly basis, and I can actually set whatever price that I want, but I will need an account plan for that. And you could start off with their light package at $16 per month, and that's if it's done annually. It's $24 per month if you pay on a monthly basis. But then I can have what they call 10 projects, which is 10 websites. And as I say, you can have client billing on there as well. You have staging sites so that people can see their sites before it goes live. So you'll need, if that's the kind of model that you want to go down, then you would need the account plan so that you can do that. But then each time a site goes live, you will then need to add in one of these site plans as well. And with a basic one, you can build a basic website. But the one thing that the basic plan doesn't have is it doesn't have the CMS or the blogging functionality. So as Xanthi points out here, if you want to blog, you need to go with the CMS package, which is more pricey. So yes, if you're going to pay on a monthly basis, it's $20 per month for that. And then if you want more features, you're going to be paying more as you go up that scale. And if you want to have e-commerce on that site, then you've got to go with their e-commerce plans. And this again is where it's more pricey. For their standard package with 500 items. So if you have less than 500 items that you're going to sell, then you just need the standard one. But that's $42 per month. So Webflow can become a bit more pricey than the other alternatives. But when I look at what you can do with Webflow, just from looking at it for a few hours yesterday, you probably could do a lot more with Webflow than what you can do with any of the others. And as I said, I'm going to be delving into this more, especially with Xanthi as well. And we'll be able to come back and tell you our own experience of Webflow, with coming from a WordPress background where we build our websites on WordPress, how we found Webflow. But it's, from what I can see at the moment, you'll be able to do a lot more with Webflow than any of the others. And their hosting, everything is all included the same as the others. So with this, you don't have to have all those extra bits for, with hosting, etc. It's all there. It's like all the others. So that's kind of what Webflow is. Now, looking at these different alternatives and looking at the different pricing, I just wanted to kind of throw a spanner in the works. If you wanted to still go with WordPress, just from a pricing point of view, if you're just getting started out, how much would WordPress cost per month? Now, the hosting provider that I recommend is SiteGround. So this is a little bit different because you will have to have hosting, but then you do have extra bits with the hosting, so you could have your email, etc. on there if you wanted to as well. But if you're just starting out and you just need one website, they have a startup plan, which when you're starting out, it's just £2.99 per month. Now, one thing that you do need to be wary of is when you go through this is going to be when you sign up now, and I think it's if you sign up for 12 months. But after that 12 months, it will go to that $11.99 per month price. But the reason I've kind of thrown this in when I'm looking at alternatives to WordPress is just from a pricing point of view on what the difference is going to be. Because I have done a video where I've built a complete WordPress website absolutely free. The only thing I've had to pay for is the hosting. And the way I've done that is, one, WordPress is free. So when you sign up to a hosting package like this, you can just install WordPress on there absolutely free. I then use the Astra theme, and I used the free version, and it gives me enough power and flexibility just to get started. And in my case, I used the free version of the Beaver Builder plugin, where I can then have that drag and drop type functionality on my WordPress website. And then they have other additions on there, again, for free. And they have templates within those plugins, so you could already create your a good looking website that you would need to customize, but all of that is for free. So all you're doing is paying for the hosting. Yes, there's a little bit more to it in that you have to install everything and then play around with it. But it was just a different, a different alternative when you look at all these different alternative systems like Webflow, Squarespace, and all that. A lot of them have a comparison chart saying, this is what we do, and this is what WordPress does. And a lot of them say, well, you can't have drag and drop, you can't have, and that's not strictly true, because if you have the right plugins on there, the right page builders, etc., you have all that functionality. So what they're actually saying is not strictly true. They're just doing it because, yes, you do need to have do a little bit more work on that site to be able to do that. But then by doing that, you're setting your foundations for your website, where you can then go and add to that as your business grows online. You could add those extra features. You could buy the paid versions of the Astra theme, the Beaver Builder theme, Elementor, etc., so that you get those extra functionalities on there. And even then, it's not that expensive. For instance, I think the Astra theme's around $50 per year. The Beaver Builder plugin that I use, I think is around $100 per year. So that's $150 per year that I'm paying. With some of these, you're paying, 10, 12 pounds per month. So you need to then look at that as well to see what the different costing is with those. But yes, there will be a bit more of a learning curve with WordPress. But saying that, with all these other platforms, you're going to have a bit of a learning curve with those as well, to learn how to build your website using those platforms. So I think I'm going to leave that there today with the different alternatives. So I've covered Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, Webflow, Shopify, if you are looking at an e-commerce store, but then also just looking at a quick comparison with what WordPress could be if you're just starting out. So I hope that the alternatives that I've shown today is just giving you a bit of food for thought to see that, yes, there are alternatives to WordPress out there. Each one will have their own quirks that you're going to need to learn when you're building your website on those platforms. Each one is going to have a learning curve. There's no doubt about that, because each one will work slightly differently. So you're going to have to learn how to do that. And at the end of the day, for me, when you're looking to build your website, if you are building it yourself, or if you are in a position where you get someone else to build it for you, they might have their own platform of choice as well. But at the end of the day, you need to be comfortable with that platform yourself, because if you're not, you're never going to update your website. And that will be a great shame, because, if you've spent that time building the website, you want to make sure that you can update it on a regular basis. If you're going to do blogs, make sure that you know how to do that, that those platforms allow you to do that, that they have the SEO tools that you need to make sure that you can change things with SEO for your blog posts, for instance. So there are a lot of different things that you need to have a look at and take in consideration when you are building out your website, and you just need to sit down. And as I said in a lot of my other videos, when it comes to ActiveCampaign and anything like that, is sit down and actually plan out what it is that you want to achieve with your website. Having that bit of planning before will help you in the long run to choose which platform that you want to build your website on, especially if you are doing it yourself. So I hope you've enjoyed today's content, and if you do and you want to be notified when I next go live or when I next post a video, then please click on the subscribe button and click on the notification bells so that you get notified when I next go live. And yes, watch out for some more content regarding this topic, especially with Webflow. And Xanthi, we will definitely get some times in the diary so that we can discuss this and create content around this, because I think it's a great topic. So I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you on the next one.